Scott Weiland, The Tragic Death of the Stone Temple Pilots, and Velvet Revolver frontman. Scott Weiland was one of the most iconic rock singers of his generation, but Weiland's life was also marked by tragedy. In the years leading up to his death, Weiland made a number of disturbing statements about his own mortality. In one interview, he said that he didn't expect to live much longer. In another interview, he said that he was ready to die. Did Weiland really predict his own death? But what caused Weiland's tragic death? And what legacy did he leave behind? In this article, we will look closely at Weiland's life and career. We will explore his struggles with addiction and his tragic death. So stay tuned to not miss out on anything shocking we have to tell you in this video, and don't forget to subscribe. Scott Weiland was a legendary performer in the rock music industry. He was the frontman of two of the most famous rock bands of the 90s and 2000s, Stone Temple Pilots and Velvet Revolver. His distinctive voice and charismatic stage presence made him a truly beloved rock star. Scott Weiland was born in San Jose, California, on October 27, 1967. Little did anyone know that this humble beginning would mark the start of a stormy and highly formative musical career. Scott Weiland's love of music was obvious even at a young age. Growing up poor, he sought comfort in the sounds of classic rock and roll from the 70s and 80s on the radio. David Bowie, the Rolling Stones, and the Doors forever changed his impressionable mind, whose music stoked a passion for self-expression. During his senior year of high school, Weiland founded his first band, titled Soi Disant, marking the beginning of his career as a musician. His unique baritone voice began to develop here, offering a glimpse of the tremendous vocal prowess that would define his career. When Scott Weiland met Robert DeLeo, Dean DeLeo, and Eric Kretz in the late 80s, it was a watershed moment and the beginning of the legendary band Stone Temple Pilots. The band's innovative combination of grunge, alternative rock, and classic rock elements revolutionized the early 90s music scene. The band shot to huge fame after the publication of their 1992 debut album, Core, which included the radio staples Plush and Creep. Weiland's stage magnetism and lyrical and vocal depth helped Stone Temple Pilots stand out during musical experimentation. The musical adventures of Scott Weiland continued. In 2003, he formed the supergroup Velvet Revolver with ex-Guns N' Roses members. He has had a long and successful career, and this project adds another chapter to it by giving us such songs as Slither and Fall to Pieces. In 2003, Scott Weiland's musical odyssey took an unexpected twist. Stone Temple Pilots disbanded, and the opportunity to explore new horizons arose. Throughout his career, Weiland had crossed paths with four talented musicians: Duff McKagan, Matt Sorum, Dave Kushner, and Slash. These chance encounters would pave the way for the formation of Velvet Revolver, a rock supergroup that would make waves in the music world. Weiland's connection with McKagan began in a rather ordinary place, the gym. These chance meetings laid the groundwork for a lasting friendship. He also found himself in rehab simultaneously with Sorum, creating an unexpected bond. And to add to the serendipity, Weiland once shared a bill with Kushner at a musical event. Fate seemed to be weaving their paths together. The seeds of Velvet Revolver were sown when Weiland received 2 discs of musical material. Upon listening to the first disc, he remarked that it sounded like Bad Company gone wrong. However, his reaction was far more positive when he listened to the second disc, which he likened to the Stone Temple Pilots' core-era music. Despite the potential, he hesitated because Stone Temple Pilots had not yet disbanded. But destiny had its plans. When Stone Temple Pilots disbanded in 2003, they sent Weiland some new music. He took this music into his studio and added his distinctive vocals, giving birth to the song Set Me Free. Even then, he remained uncertain about rejoining the band despite performing at an industry showcase at Mates. The band recorded 2 songs, including Set Me Free, with producer Nick Raskulinecz. This track reached number 17 on the mainstream rock chart without any radio promotion or a record label. It was during a screening of The Hulk at Universal Studios that the band had to decide on a name. Slash liked the beginning of the word revolution. Weiland suggested Black Velvet Revolver, which combined Velvet's intimate connotations with a gun's deadly imagery. Eventually, they settled on Velvet Revolver, announcing it at a press conference and performance at the El Rey Theater. Reflecting on Weiland's addition to the group, Slash said, "I just thought he was a great singer, and he'd always been on my mind for Velvet Revolver. He was the one vocalist I knew had the voice to serve what we would do." Velvet Revolver's debut album, Contraband, released in June 2004, achieved remarkable success. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and has sold over good 3 million copies worldwide. Two of its songs, Slither and Fall to Pieces, reached the #1 position on the Billboard Modern Rock Tracks chart. Slither also earned a Grammy Award for Best Hard Rock Performance with Vocal in 2005. Velvet Revolver's musical journey continued with the release of their second album, Libertad, in 2007. While the album received mixed critical reception, it peaked at #5 on the Billboard 200. The singles She Builds Quick Machines, The Last Fight, and Get Out the Door showcased the band's diverse style. Despite their success, Velvet Revolver faced challenges, including flares on personal blogs and in interviews. Ultimately, on April 1, 2008, it was announced that Scott Weiland would no longer be a member of Velvet Revolver. However, the band reunited for an exceptional one-off performance with Weiland at a benefit concert for the late John O'Brien on January 12, 2012, reminding the world of the magic they once created together. In April 2015, Scott Weiland's life worsened, ending in tragedy. It all began with a troubling incident during a performance with his band in Texas. Footage emerged online showing Weiland in a state of disarray. His representative attributed his erratic behavior to a lack of sleep, a faulty earpiece, and a few drinks. Shortly after this incident, Richard Patrick, the frontman of Filter and a friend of Weiland's, gave an interview in which he expressed deep concern about Weiland's well-being. He stated that Weiland had transformed into a different person, far from the artist and friend he once knew. Patrick voiced worries about Weiland's behavior, especially his chronic lateness for shows and its impact on the audience. Patrick's interview stirred controversy, with Weiland responding through a statement released via Blabbermouth. In his response, Weiland clarified that he had been drug-free for 13 years and addressed his past struggles with addiction. He also mentioned that Patrick himself had been part of those drug experiences in the past. Weiland defended his commitment to being on time for his fans and sought to set the record straight. However, despite Weiland's efforts to address these concerns, his life took a tragic turn in 2015. He had formed a new band named The Wildabouts and released a new studio album called Blaster in March of that year. Tragedy struck early when guitarist Jeremy Brown, whom Weiland considered one of his best friends, failed to attend rehearsal. Brown's death at 34 was later determined to be due to accidental multiple drug intoxication. Around this time, Weiland began experiencing episodes of paranoia associated with his bipolar disorder. Jamie Weiland, Scott's third wife, shed light on his struggles with bipolar disorder, mentioning episodes of paranoia and erratic behavior. She described how Weiland's condition led him to keep his curtains closed all the time, and at one point, his instability became so severe that she had to move out. However, Weiland has found stability with the proper medication in recent years. Unfortunately, 2015 proved to be a year of relentless challenges for Weiland. He received news that his father and mother had cancer, compounding the emotional toll of losing his brother in 2007 due to a heart condition. These personal losses weighed heavily on him, and his emotional state suffered. On top of his struggles, Weiland was facing financial difficulties. Despite his Grammy-winning musical career spanning over 2 decades and selling millions of albums, he was burdened by trips to rehab, child support payments, substance abuse issues, and 2 divorces. These financial pressures added to the stress in his life. Weiland's health had also deteriorated physically. He was taking 6 prescription drugs regularly, drinking alcohol, and had contracted hepatitis C, likely from years of intravenous drug use. The combination of these factors left him in a precarious state. The turning point for Weiland's downward spiral appeared to be in 2007, following the death of his brother due to a heart condition often associated with drug use. His sister-in-law noted that Weiland never fully recovered from this loss, which triggered a slide back into his old lifestyle. Weiland's drinking became a source of concern for those around him. The newest guitarist in the Wildabouts, Nick Mayberry, tried to address the issue with him but found it futile. He turned to Al-Anon, a recovery program for family and friends of alcoholics, to cope with the situation. On the road, Weiland and his bassist, Tommy Black, became drinking buddies, and Weiland had stopped using a sobriety coach, a support he had used on past tours. On December 2, 2015, after a late night of drinking in Chicago, Weiland's bandmates found him unresponsive on their tour bus in Bloomington, Minnesota. Weiland's wife, Jamie, grew increasingly concerned as she tried to reach him throughout the day unsuccessfully. She received a text from him earlier in the day expressing love for her, but his subsequent lack of response was unusual. She contacted the band's tour manager, Aaron Moeller, who promised to check on Weiland. Upon entering the tour bus, Moeller found Weiland lying on his left side in a fetal position, unresponsive and with no pulse. He immediately called 911 and attempted to revive Weiland without success. It was a tragic end for a talented artist who had battled demons. Scott Weiland's legacy remains complex, marked by musical brilliance, personal struggles, and the indomitable spirit of a rock star. His story is a stark reminder of the perils of fame and addiction and the toll they can take on even the most gifted individuals. With that said, let's give it a wrap. But before signing off, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. See you again with another exciting video.